Different tools are used with different grips. If you've had any prior training or perhaps watched some figure drawing videos on YouTube, you may have heard about a correct way to hold your pencil or your paintbrush. Sometimes, though, students will pick up this piece of information and then become a little overzealous, applying it to everything. So let's quickly talk about why we hold certain tools in certain ways. So people talk about the correct way to hold a pencil, and quite literally, they are just talking about a pencil. Often tools, like pencils, will have more of the lead exposed than you're used to. We'll do it using a knife, but I'm not going to teach you that here. We don't use pencils in this course. But anyway, you can see how there's all these different surfaces exposed. The side, the tip, you get these little angles here, and they can be used to provide all kinds of different marks on the page. Like, I haven't actually used this in a while, so it's not really sanded properly, but you get the idea. This grip, this overhand grip, allows us to use all these different sides really flexibly. And so it gives us a lot more control over this kind of tool. And you get a similar kind of deal with paintbrushes, charcoal, Conte, and it's used a lot by a lot of different artists. But the thing that you need to remember is that the grip serves a purpose. Conversely, pens don't have all those different sides to them. They've got a tip. And that tip can make a heavier mark if you apply more pressure, and it can vary a little and get a little bit thinner. But, it's one axis or one dimension of variability, I guess, is the tip and pressure. The grip that we use for writing traditionally is called a tripod grip, although there's a few different variations of this. It's really good for controlling that pressure. And so this is still the grip that we use when drawing with pens. We don't try and use an overhand grip because in that context, we can barely even make marks because these pens tend to draw better, or their ink flows better, when you've got a higher angle. Some people will really push the idea of drawing with an upright angle, 90 degrees. I usually draw at more of a maybe 60, 70 degree angle. It's still pretty high, but it's a bit more comfortable. Cheaper pens, though, will have poorer ink flow and will require a higher angle. So keep that in mind when buying your tools. So one thing to keep in mind is that the overhand grip is actually valuable for one other reason, and that is that it forces students to draw more from their shoulder, because you can't, with this kind of a grip, your wrist is kind of automatically locked. And when you're drawing with a tripod grip, you can use your wrist a lot more effectively, which is one of the reasons that we use it for writing. Also because the tools generally, lean into that. So when you're using the tripod grip, you need to be extra aware of which pivot you're using to make your marks. And you always need to remind yourself to draw from your shoulder. So long story short, even though there are grips that are favorable with other tools, we are just going to focus on the grip that you'd use when writing, the tripod grip. Just make sure that you are engaging your shoulder to drive the drawing motion. And the tripod grip definitely makes it easier to slip back into drawing from your wrist.